ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमस्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन् ऊतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्रयवतु। गणेशाय नमः। सरस्वत्यै नमः। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। सुमुखश्च एकदन्तश्च कपिलो गजकर्णकः लम्बोदरश्च विकटो विघ्नराजो विनायकः धूमकेतुर्गणाध्यक्षः फालचन्द्रो गजाननः वक्रतुण्डः शूर्पकर्णो हेरम्बः स्कन्दपूर्वजः शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। यस्य द्विरदवक्त्राद्याः पारिषद्याः परस्सतं विघ्नं निघ्नन्ति सततं विश्वक्सेनं तमाश्रये। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं रामनाम वरानने। श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं रामनाम वरानने। श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं रामनाम वरानने। यत्र यत्र रघुनाथ कीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम्. So we were looking yesterday, we were covering how Ramayana is not just the story of an ideal man. It is a story of Bhagavan, the bliss, the anandam, the selfless love, the truth, the satyam, the prema. That is what each one of us really is. Each one of us is that. So it is a bliss in us that took a human form to interact with us, to show us the way how to be our natural self, how to be loving. And so if we follow the principles and the teachings of what this Avatara Purushan demonstrated, then we will become an ideal person. We will become Rama itself. We must see Rama in everyone. So it is not just a history, it is a story that is taking place continuously. And even today. And what is happening? Rama, we say Ramo, Vigrahavan Dharmaha. We saw that yesterday. And he was the embodiment of Dharma. Now, how to follow Dharma in everything? How can I earn my wealth in a dharmic way? How can I have my desires in a dharmic way? And how can I finally, following the dharmic path, attain freedom itself? That is the pathway that is given to us. And this requires not just listening to Bhagavan's stories and glories, that is very important, and not just having satsang, which is extremely important. These are all essential, and more so than doing ritualistic practices, reciting Vedas, doing worship. All these are very, very important, but they will not give us the final result. The result will happen only when there is a mental transformation. A transformation has to take place in our mind. Manmana bhava, that is what Bhagavan says in the Gita. And what kind of a transformation is required? First, we must learn to practice purity in thought, purity in word, and purity in action. This is called Trikarana Suddhi. Trikarana Suddhi. This is very important. Without that, the result will not be achieved. So this is what Rama is teaching us by taking this human form, and let us approach Bhagavan's stories and glories, and when we share it with each other, let us not lose sight of this important perspective. Okay, how to imbibe the lesson. Once we imbibe the lesson, then how do I put that into practice? And what are the challenges that are going to come to me in terms of practicing dharma? Practicing dharma requires strength. And that Bhagavan Sri Rama himself is going to teach us now, very soon, either today's session or tomorrow's session, of what type of education that we should have. And let us move on and cover that. So, when the children were about 3 years old, we saw yesterday how they beautifully grew up, and the bathing and the playing and all that, right? And the jewelry that Kausalya and other mothers put them on. That now, when they became about 3 years or so, and able to walk and run and all that, what did the queens do? They gathered children of similar age from the city, and they brought them to the palace grounds along with their maids and mothers and all that, and they treated them. They gave them the same type of clothes that the princes were wearing, and they showed tremendous hospitality to the mothers who brought those kids, and the kids and the princes, the children, they were all playing in the playground there in the palace, very beautifully. And that's how it's a comradeship went. And the princes, actually, even though they were children, they were actually moving with children of ordinary citizens. Now, they used to play, they used to run and frolic and do this and, all the things that children of that age do. And one day what happened, this evening time they were playing, and Kausalya was there, and all of a sudden Bharata came running to her, crying. And he came, Amma, 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 and he came to Kausalya. And he said, Amma, this, and he was crying, he was weeping, and his crying could not be stopped. And how we say in Tamil, Viki Vikka, right? Like that he was crying. And so Kausalya said, what happened, Bharata? What happened? Cannot tell me. And he said, no, this Rama, this Rama, he continued. And then Kausalya said, what did Rama do? What did Rama do to you? No, he always lets me win. He always lets me win. And he was crying. And a couple of minutes later, Rama came running to Kausalya, just smiling and very happy. And he said, Amma, what happened today? Bharata won again today. Bharata won. He was so happy. So this is a very beautiful instance that we can keep in our mind. If I want to emulate Rama, and even though I may not become fully, even though I'm Rama internally, even though for me to realize it fully, but at least as a starting step, I can let others win. I can sacrifice my victory. The lesson of sacrifice, very simple thing to practice in our life. Very, very simple thing to practice. Something that I want, something that's going to benefit me, no, I give it to others. Let others win. Let others enjoy. So it's a very beautiful and powerful lesson that I personally learned from this happening when the children were very young. Now, when this playing and all was going on day in and day out, and the mothers were happy, the children were happy, and nobody realized the passage of time. But Dasaratha didn't feel very good about it. I mean, this can go on for some time. And he called the queens and he said, he was conversing with them, and he said, see, the children are not going to learn much if they are not doing anything worthwhile, right? And if they just move about with these maids and this way, how are they going to learn? And how can their intelligence and skill be developed? It is like sharpening a sword. We have to learn lessons, right, in order to sharpen our intelligence and understanding ability. And So we must properly educate them. And what they did, so in auspicious time, they fixed with the Guru Vasishta, and from that day onwards, they started their very first education, formal education in Gurukula. They went to the preceptor Vasishta's ashram. And why? Because you stay with your parents, and that could be an actual hindrance in terms of imbibing the knowledge. And they gave up their costly royal wardrobe that they were wearing as princes. They just tied a simple piece of cloth around their waist and put another one on their upper body, and just like a brahmachari would do. And so they went to the preceptor's ashram and took residence there to learn. Because if you continue to live in the atmosphere of parental love and care, it's very difficult to progress. They had to live with the teacher. And the another important thing is the teaching and imparting knowledge was never structured like the way our school system is today. It is not a 8 to 5 or 8 to 3:30 type of time frame. No, it was done any time and every time through day and night. They imbibed lessons all through the day and all through the night, living with the teacher. How did they do that? The more a student learns more by serving the teacher, by fulfilling the need of the teacher. And even before he asks for something, fulfills that need. That's how observant that you should be. Totakacharya was like that for Adi Shankara. And so the first thing is doing service. And second thing is they used to observe the teacher and follow his example. Because the teachers those days, they practiced what they preached. So when somebody demonstrates through personal practice, it is so easy to grasp that lesson, and the knowledge comes to you in a trice so easily. And they had to live with whatever food the teacher gave them, and they were very happy with it. And when the mothers felt anguish of being separated from the children, they used to make a visit to the ashram and saw the children and noticed their progress, and they came back very happy. The teacher was also extremely happy. Why? Because just as Krishna and Balarama showed examples with Sandipani, the Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrugna gave us, as human beings, an example of how a student should conduct himself. This is a lesson. And what they were steadfast, Shraddha was there, enthusiasm was there, humility, the Vinayam was there. And Vinayam and Shraddha is the foundation block for any type of education, all education. These are the two foundation blocks. Without that, the knowledge cannot be stable. And the teacher was tremendously surprised at the boys' intelligence and the very powerful memory that they had. And all they had to do was say one thing once, and they grasped it fully, and they remembered it also so clearly. Among all the four students, Vasishta saw that Rama was something extraordinary. And he was showed outstanding interest in his studies. And he grasped things very quickly. And he could repeat any lesson correctly when he had heard it just once. And the teacher was amazed at the sharp intelligence of Rama. And then he resolved, like the way we do for PACE students and all that in modern thing, he said, no, Rama must be taught separately because he's learning at a much more advanced level. So his progress should not be slowed. And so he grouped the other three separately and paid individual attention to Rama. Now, Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrugna also learned the lessons very, very well. But they pined for the company of Rama, companionship. That so much so that as soon as Rama was out of sight, they lost interest in studies. and they just could not stand the agony of being separated from Rama. So they lost interest. So as a result, could not catch up with Rama. They were following him a lesson or two behind. In fact, Lakshmana dared to tell his teacher once or twice, "Sir, these lessons are not, we don't need these lessons. And this learning is not that important for us. What is important is the companionship and the company of Rama. And we'll be very happy if we could get that company. So don't separate him from us." But the teacher observed this very strange but powerful and beautiful relationship between Rama and the brothers. And he meditated on that. He reflected on that. He thought about it. And the more he thought about it, the more blissful he became. What is this happening here? This Ramyate iti Ramaha, the thing that attracts, right? He was thinking about it. He reminded himself that these children are not ordinary children. They are Bhagavan himself has taken birth in these forms. And there are three important things that Rama and his brothers learned. And what was it? And I will summarize it for you, as Bhagavan himself has said. Number one, listen very carefully. First lesson they learned is Sarve Loka Hite Rataha. Sarve Loka Hite Rataha. That means let all the beings in all the world be well, not just happy. The happiness that comes out of being peaceful without any agitation of the mind. The mind causes all physical illnesses. When the mind is healthy, the body is healthy. And that gives a happiness. That happiness. Sarve Loka Hite Rataha. They learned that. And second is they acquired all types of wisdom. And what is this all types of wisdom? What is it that one wisdom that encompasses all wisdoms? Sarve Jnana Hite Rataha. And there are 8 types of worldly knowledge. Like music and art and science and literature and sculpture and all these things. But the knowledge of the Atma, the knowledge of the self, the Atmika Vidya, that is the basis of all the knowledge. And all the things we learn in the world, they're all like rivers and they flow into this ocean, which is the Atmic knowledge, the Atma Vidya and Adhyatmika Jnana. This is what they learned from Vasishta. And what is the third thing that they learned? Sarve Samudita Gunaihi. Sarve Samudita Gunaihi. The second lesson can also be described as Sarve Jnana Sampannaha. It can be described in another way in Sanskritam. That means all the knowledge, they grow in plenty. Sampannaha means to grow in plenty, to accumulate more amount of it. That is what Sampannaha means. So that's another way to describe it. Third one they learned was Sarve Samudita Gunaihi. Samudita means coming together. And coming together, the togetherness. What are these various gunangas? These Bhagavan, who is Gunatitaya, beyond all the gunas and characteristic attributes, what are the attributes that they learned and demonstrated and by their conduct, so that it can set an example for people like you and me? And the first thing is the virtues, the sacred virtues they had. And this is what we mean by gunanga, And they must be virtues, they are sacred virtues. And the very first one is, it is not proper to have bad looks, because they acquired the education that made them have good looks. And what is a good look and what is a bad look? A bad look is the one that agitates your mind and poisons and pollutes the mind. And what is a good look? When you look at something with love, with the selfless, with prema, without the desire to acquire it, but just to share the love that you have, that look, that vision that you have becomes good look. And the bad look fosters sin and all that. And because of that, the moment you have a perspective an outlook that is loving by nature, by disposition, what happens? Automatically your speech becomes soft and sweet. Soft and sweet. Such sacred qualities they had. Constructive thoughts, consoling words, compassionate action, Trikarana Suddhi. This is Trikarana Suddhi, purity in thought, word and deed. That is what they had. And how did it exemplify it by itself? How did it show up by itself, reveal itself? They had some of the qualities are, they had friendliness, a friendly disposition, no enigmatic disposition towards anything. Friendliness, mitra. They always spoke the truth. Whatever they spoke little, they spoke measured, they spoke only when it was necessary, and they spoke only when it was going to contribute benefit, okay, to them, to the environment, to everybody who's listening. That's when they spoke. But when they spoke, it was the truth, Sathya. And they had the quality, the guna of Nirmala. And what is Nirmala is unsullied purity. When the mind is pure, everything is pure. Everything becomes pure, unsullied purity. Then they had unwavering serenity, the Nischala, as we call Nischala. When the mind is not agitated, when it is peaceful, you're always serene, prasanna vadanam, it will always be. And then, most important, they had selflessness, nisvartam. Svartam means selfishness, and nisvartam means absence of selfishness. And in the incident we just shared of how Rama shared the victory, let his brother win in the game rather than himself. See, that is the example of nisvartam. And as we practice these gunas in our life to emulate Rama, so that we can expand our heart, become more and more loving and more blissful in the process, as we try to emulate and try to look for mitra, the friendliness, speak the truth, and try to be peaceful and purify our thoughts and minds on a constant basis, we can also practice to be selfless. While it may or may not be easy to practice selflessness, it is definitely easy to reduce one's selfishness. And that's something we can put into practice right starting now. Very easy to do. So, then, this is what they learned. So, Dasaratha, while the brothers were learning their education like this, renouncing all their comforts of the palace, etc., and all that, living in the ashram and undergoing the hardships that any other student would do, because acquiring knowledge is not a comfortable venture. Okay, we have to be prepared to sacrifice. Sacrifice is very important, and they carried out the wishes of their master Vasishta with vinayam, with humility, and with loyalty, absolute loyalty. Then they finished their studies in a very short time. So one day, King Dasaratha proceeded with his minister to Guru's ashram, just to see, how things were and all that. And when he saw the children, he was so happy, like the way we are all when we see our children. He was so happy. And then when he came in, the boys were reciting Vedic hymns and they're chanting Vedas, and he was beyond himself to hear the children in their sweet voice. Just imagine, 3, 4, 5-year-old children reciting Vedam perfectly, with every all these sacred mantras and all that rolling out of their tongues very sweetly and perfectly with clarity. How beautifully it will be, and coming out very fast, very fluent it was, and like a cascade of bright pearls is what Bhagavan says. It coming out of their mouth. He was so happy, and that the sons have learned so much. Then, as soon as the children saw their father, Rama rose to his feet and fell down at his father's feet, and then took his blessings. And by his sheer example and conduct and behavior, he set an example. The other 3 brothers immediately got up and followed Rama and did the same thing. The Vasishta invited the king to come in, and the minister, and then offered them seats to sit on, and raised seats and covered with deer skin. And then Dasaratha began conversing with the teacher. And he started inquiring how the boys were doing. As soon as the topic came to that, Rama signaled to his brothers, got up and left the room with the permission of the Guru. He took the permission of the Guru and left the room and carried the books and all that. Now, Vasishta and Dasaratha both noted this incident and they appreciated the upright conduct of Rama, his understanding of the trend of his father's questioning, how it was not appropriate for him to be present when that subject was being discussed. This showed tremendous propriety, maturity, and strict adherence to dharmic way of conducting oneself. And both the teacher and the father were extremely happy when they noted this. Then Vasishta could not contain himself. He said, Maharaja, your sons have mastered all the arts. Rama has mastered all the Shastras. He is no ordinary mortal. As soon as I began teaching him to recite the Vedas, he used to repeat them as if he knew them already. Only who has inspired the Vedic chanting, the Vedas, only can say like that. Because nobody else can say it the way that he did. Because Vedas are not books that you can read from and memorize and all that. No, it has to be taught by the master to the student, and it has to be heard through the ears. That's why it's called Shruti. And then you have to remember it, you have to repeat it without mistake. It has to come. And it's not available in any book or any stores. The fact he was able to repeat immediately after me as if he knew them already, there is no doubt he is the originator. The Vedas have originated, have come from him, like Bhagavan's breath. And I have not seen anyone, not seen or heard, and who has mastered the Vedas as Rama has done. And what a remarkable feat. These are, I can tell you, Maharaja, more superhuman achievements of your sons. But it is my good fortune, signal grace of Bhagavan, that I am having them, securing them as my pupils, as my students. They need learn no further. I have taught them all I know. Now they have to be taught on bowmanship, on archery, horse riding, on elephant riding, on other skills required for a king to rule over the kingdom. So they have completed the studies under me and become efficient. Now take them back with you. And today is a very auspicious day. Take them back with you to the palace. As soon as Dasaratha heard this, he was filled with joy on two counts. Getting this kind of a report card from a teacher like Vasishta, from a Brahmajnani, you see how priceless it is. And second is, the report card is on his sons. And the third is, he has been pining, being separated from his sons. Now he can take them back. So he's doubly happy, triply happy. So he turned to his minister and sent him back to the kingdom, to the palace, to bring back appropriate dakshinas and all that, and convey the good news to the queens also, to their mothers, and bring the offerings that people should submit to, the students must submit. Sumantra proceeded very fast and came back, communicated the news and came back even very faster. In the meanwhile, the boys had packed their belongings at the suggestion of Vasishta. Vasishta told them, pack up, your study is over. They packed up, ready to go, and they loaded it on the chariot. And then, as Dasaratha then told them, get on the chariot. So immediately they got on the chariot, they worshipped the Guru, fell at his feet, got his blessings, and according to the prescribed ceremony, it was finished. And Dasaratha gave all the dakshinas, Guru dakshinas and all that. The students actually gave the Guru dakshinas, the command of their father. They fell at Vasishta's feet, took his permission to leave. Then Vasishta drew the boys very close to him. He pressed their hands. He stroked their cheeks and stroked the back of their head and blessed them, and most unwillingly gave them permission to leave. The pang of separation brought tears to his eyes, and he walked up to the chariot with the students, and the boys ascended the vehicle, and the chariot moved away. The boys turned back towards the Guru and looked at him with their hands folded with palms folded in worshipping, doing namaskaram. They just stood like that, looking at the Guru with doing namaskaram with the hands folded as the chariot was pulling away, and they did not move an inch. And Vasishta also stood absolutely transfixed where he was. He also looked at this chariot going away and away and away, and he could see Rama and Lakshmana there, Bharata and Shatrugna with their palms folded and looking at him, and he could not control his crying. And very soon the chariot vanished, and the dust also vanished. Then only Vasishta turned back and came back into his ashram. He could not control. Like, this is what happens when you're in the presence of Bhagavan. You just cannot, you don't know why it happens, you don't know how it happens, but it happens. You cry. You cry and you pour your heart out, you cannot stop that crying. And that's what happened to him. And then he came back to the ashram, and he feared, wherever he looked in the ashram, it's only darkness, and there was no light, because the boys were there a moment ago. Now everything is empty. Then he said, no, this attachment is not good. Okay, this will be a shackle in my spiritual progress. So he sat down and went into dhyana, did meditation, went into dhyana, and repressing the tides of memory, because memory can kill, and he repressed them, he controlled them, and very soon he attained samadhi. And we will continue tomorrow with Bhagavan's grace. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om.